Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the first Pro Deadlock coaching video. I'm going to start off pretty basic. I'm just going to go over how I see how roles should be played in a pro setting in Deadlock. This video is mostly going to be about pro play, and a lot of these ideas might not be applicable to ranked, really, just due to the lack of coordination and lack of really respect that's given in ranked. Okay? So we'll start off pretty easy with the 1. So I've done these numbers are kind of an order of farm priority. You'll know this if you come from Dota, you'll know this if you know other things about deadlock roles. This isn't new stuff, really. I just have a couple new ideas that I don't think are really too widely shared in the community that I wanted to share. So yeah, the 1, your M1 carry. This is who's going to be, in my mind, if you just think default map position, they're going to be your left lane anchor. Obviously it could be right as well if you flip the map, but I'm just going to start with that being your left lane anchor. Okay, so they are going to be sacrificing every fight, especially in the early game and mid game, for farm. Okay, farm. Big point. You're not going to be rotating for 90% of fights. Okay, you really want to be just prioritizing as many souls as you can get those spikes, get to that power spike at maybe 25, even 30 minutes, where you can really come online in the game. Okay, you're going to be the priority for camps. You're going to be able to tell your team, give me these camps. Okay, and the kind of characters that go here I envision wraiths, venators, wardens, these hyperscalers that can carry games. It's a pretty basic role, so it's not going to take too long in the video up. It's pretty straightforward. I am her. Yeah, you're just farming. You're playing the weak side. You're not in fights. Cool. Okay. Now we get to 2, the off carry. This is who I see being the right lane anchor. Okay, opposite side. They're the main body in your right hand lane. But this is going to be who you play through. This is going to be your strong side of the map, okay? Far stronger early game than your 1, okay? They are going to be kind of the core of your mid-game fights. You're going to fight through them, you're going to help them get wave push, and then play for objectives on their side of the map. Things like Urn, things like Deep Farm, things like Sinners, okay? Things like bridge buffs. You're going to want to play through your 2. Okay? They're generally going to be burst fighters and spirit to make up for the balance, because if your main carry's gun, your second carry wants to be spirit. Okay? Pretty self-explanatory. They're going to be strong pretty much all game, with a peak in the mid game. Pretty simple. And yeah, they're going to be out fights. They're going to want to start rotating fights around 10k souls-ish. That's quite an arbitrary number, but you're going to want that 1 max stability, and you're going to want to be moving to fights and around that time. You're going to side lane aggressively, you're going to follow up on your 3, 4, 5, 6 plays, and you're going to be able to take space around the map. The characters I have in mind in this role, you've got like your Celeste, your Mina, your Pocket. You can bring some more gun focused carries like a Haze, like an Apollo in even, if you really want. There's obviously other options. I'm just listing a few brief carriers I have an idea of, characters I have an idea of, sorry. I don't think there's a set way of thinking about this at all. Okay, moving on to 3, which is where I differ from quite a few people. You'll notice these question marks by 3 and 4. I'll get onto those in a minute. But how I see the 3 is now obviously your other lane is your mid lane anchor. So they're going to be focused around the mid lane, getting waves, collecting waves, and really anchoring down the middle of the map, which is going to mean they're going to be the most mobile anchor because they're in the middle of the map. They can be everywhere. Okay, so this is your front line. These are the people who can make plays off of objective timers with your roamers and really fight deeper into the map than a 1 or a 2 can because of their side laning responsibilities. Okay, in my mind, I know these are pretty unsolved roles through, like, especially 345 aren't too solved generally in Deadlock. They're pretty open still. But I see it as this like frontline engage role, but the frontline that needs some money. So things that can fight early, take lane prio, and convert that into good fight positioning, good fight setup, and having prio for urns. Especially on your strong side of the map. Being able to play and really support that too into winning the fight. So here I have pretty basic a Billy, an Abrams, could even bring a Dynamo, maybe even a Silver. Well, is how I envision this role. Okay, people that can take that space, be aggressive, and then be into the late game, transition into that front line. Okay, simple stuff again. That's a pretty basic pick because it's 3 as well. But the 4 is where my personal opinion starts to differ strongly on how Deadlock should be played really. So this question mark here and here is because, well, I think in some cases that the 4 might have more farm than the 3. Okay, your 4 is your main roam. Your 4 is going to be kind of this lurking, ganking, however you want to say it, assassin, who's going to be able to play around anywhere on the map. I have this as your mid 2, so as in your other laner who starts in mid, but can run around the map, rat around pushed waves to try and find an exposed M1 carry maybe, catch leftover waves to keep up economy, take jungle camps in opponent jungle, and really just try and get in the heads of the opponents. Really, they need to be weird. Okay? They need to be making strange plays, trap, and ganking. But this is going to be in your 4-5 pairing. Okay, your 4-5 pairing, they're going to move around the map together. Okay? They're going to be supporting each other to make plays on the map and to help your anchors. Okay? So this is the damage part of that 4-5 pairing, which means that in some games, depending on your character picks, your 4 might want more farm than your 3. If you think that damage is more important. If, say, in my mind, if, say, you have a 1 and 2 gun carry, it'd be your 4 that would then be your spirit, or vice versa. So in some of those games, they might need a lot of farm if, say, your opponents build quad gun resist, say. So some characters I have in mind here, it's kind of the characters I put earlier for 2, but they play a more active role. So I think this is like Amina, a Pocket, Calico. I think a Calico is a big one here. I think Calico works really well in this 4 role because it can help get that mid push and convert it into amazing roams, and works really well with or without Spirit late game. And then Haze, I think, as well. All work really nicely in how I view the 4 role. These are characters that can all take farm if they need it, or if your 3 is a weaker character, say like a Dynamo, that doesn't necessarily want as much as much farm. And these characters all have such high burst damage that they can really capitalize off pushing lanes. Okay, now into your 5. 5 and 6 are far more defined roles. Your 5 for me, engage, off tank, support. I put them in the right. Second laner in the right, not taking much farm. Okay, low down on the priority. But the important thing is that they're at every fight. This is the character who needs to be at every fight. Okay, they're your main engage generally, and CC setup. They're with your 4, as I said up here. They're your 4 pairing. Okay, you need to move around together. The 5 sets up plays for your 4 to capitalize on. And then with push, say if you have right lane push with your 2, then it's your 2 you're setting up plays for. If say you have mid lane push, then you're setting plays up with your 3. Okay? And then you can convert that into earn. Your 5 needs to be fighting for deep jungle info, and helping your 4 really abuse opponent M1s a lot of the time as well. Okay? So here, I see things like the Dynamo, like the Mo and Krill. like a lash even, or something like a doorman if you really want to get a bit funny with it. There's a lot of options here. Viscous, I think, is another good option. I think there's a lot of options in this 5 role that can be played well. You just need to know that you're going to be down on spirit generally to the carries. So you need characters that can really capitalize off your 4.8k spikes and things like that. Okay, finally, the hard support. This is a classic role in every game. You're going to be starting in left lane, so your left 2. You're going to be helping get your own 1 carry through early game. Okay, keeping them healthy, keeping them shielded. And then you're generally going to be playing around mid, helping your M1 carry, trying to be there quickly if he's dived, if he's under threat in your own half of the map. Helping the transition into late game. But then also you're able to roam. So you're able to be at fights, able to help mid, able to even help right lane in some cases if you have that zipline boost up. And yeah, you're going to want to be around the map a lot. You're going to want to be playing on rooftops a lot. You're going to want to be really active with comms, really active in info. The 6 and the 5, kind of the opposite sides, are going to be your main like anchors for info on the map, okay? Let me just write this down. So 5 and 6 play opposite sides of the map on roofs. So they can call for your 4 and your 3 to move around off their info that they gather. So if they see, say, a lone M1 carry on their side of the map, they can call, okay, 3 and 4, push in midwave, let's get across, let's make this trap play. This is how I see the game, especially in the first 10, 20 minutes, okay? And then example characters, sorry, I completely forgot. For your 6, it's just going to be like a Rem, a Page, Dynamo even can fit here, an Ivy can fit here, Kelvin can fit here, you know, just your support characters really. Just very classic role. Now, one thing I thought of that I haven't mentioned here is one interesting 4-5 pairing that I'd cooked up a bit ago with some of my friends is Calico Rem in the 4-5, where you can just abuse tunnels. You have to have quite a self-sufficient 2, where your 2 can be relied on, because Calico Rem use tunnels and they can flip the map. What I mean by that is convert your strong side into a weak side very quickly. If, say, your M1 is pushed under their own Guardian, but whoever the opponents are pushing your M1 under Guardian are overextended, then your Calico Rem can be anywhere on the map. So they could just be instantly behind them, flip your strong side to your left side, in my original example of your M1 being left, off carry being right, and yeah, flip the map so your left side is showing strong side by getting some picks there, enabling your M1 to get more farm. Okay, I'm just going to bring up a separate document quickly so I can talk about map movement before the end of the video. So I'm bringing this. Here is kind of how I envision the default state of the map. Okay? You've got your 1 on the left, with your 6 starting on the left, playing across between your 1 and your 3, trying to find this info so your 1 can farm behind this red line, and keeping your 1 protected, while also joining fights if there's a 5v5 happening, say, over an urn spawn. Then, your 3 and your 4 can secure mid-push, and then move your 4 into the right side, generally. Your 2 and your 5 can secure right push, hopefully, if you get good matchups, obviously. This is ideal deadlock. And then your 5 can move. So your 4 and 5 can move space, can find space, for your 2 to get more farm. This is just very default. The 3 can then move around to either side of the map where they're needed, alongside the 4 and the 5. So it's easy for 4 or 5 man collapses to happen onto the right, even if your 1 might have to cede space for it, because your 1's only going to become relevant later. If you can get your 2 to turbo carry early game, that can win you a game, with or without 1 scaling. Okay, I'm just going to scroll down here. Some ideas about flipping the map. So if your 2 can push in green, and you want to take some space on the left side, say for a different objective that's come up, bridge buff coming up, something like that, what happens is your 2 and your 1 can swap. But then if your 1 is ceding space and they push down here, your 4, 5, 6 can quite easily come across and make a play here with your 2 coming out of base. And suddenly, your yellow lane's your strong side, and you've completely flipped the map. And yes, your one may have to come out and sit under Guardian for a bit, but is that such a loss if you suddenly have space on the left? Well, there might be farm up if your one's been getting attacked the entire time. Anyway, these are just basic ideas. I'll make a later video on map movements. I'll make some later videos probably on individual roles. But this is just my basic take on Deadlock roles from a complete coaching, pro play standpoint. And yeah, it'd be great to hear some of your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for watching.